Hi everyone. So we are live on Instagram, we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube. So if you're watching from Instagram and the connection drops, please hop on over to YouTube because you will for sure see the video there. So today is a little bit of a mini workshop because I want to talk about a monad that came to me. Which, if you're wondering what a monad is and what's the difference between channeling, let's say, a concept, a simple concept, and a monad, monads are more complex. So sometimes when I channel, I will receive just a concept, a line, a thing, one thing that wants to come through for the good of all. And then sometimes I will channel a concept, something that's multifaceted, it has components to it, it has working parts to it. And I've done this for years and I never understood what it was. I didn't have a word for it until like months ago when I first heard the word monad and I heard someone use it in a sentence and then start talking about their experience of it. And I was like, that is exactly what I receive from time to time. So this morning I was gearing up for my day, as I usually do. I was getting ready to work out. I was, today, Tuesdays and Thursdays are my day where I'm really focused on my organization and checking in with members of the organization and meeting new members of the organization and doing business tasks, i.e. with my team. So my mind is really on business. My mind is on mentoring women to grow an organization, to earn income, to expand their audience. Like that's kind of where my mind was. So when I was in the shower and I got out of the shower and all of a sudden it was like this wealth monad just dropped in my head. Like, you need to talk about this today. And I was like, okay, sure. And then all of a sudden all these components of it started to come out and I was like, I need to write this down, which is why this board is sort of filled in because I just came into the room and immediately started drawing out the things that I was seeing in my head to talk about. So before we dive into this, just a little bit of a backstory of why this particular concept of wealth is so significant to me and why I feel like I have a voice in this at all. Well, those of you that are new and don't know my backstory at all, my family are immigrants. I'm first generation Cuban American, and I did not grow up with a concept of wealth, as I'm going to break it down for you in a second. Okay, I grew up in a space of a lot of lack, in a space of congestion, in a space of oppression, in a space of not having enough, in a space of constant fighting and arguments because of not having enough. I did not have a model for wealth or the concept of wealth at all my entire life growing up. However, I did have a little bit of exposure from people in a sort of semi-distant space to me who had what I would consider to be financial security. That's not wealth. It's not the same thing. It's a component of it, but I observed these people that had financial security who were entrepreneurs, actually, a lot of them. And they had this energy about them and this momentum about them that was really captivating to me. And so very young, I decided I want to know what that energy is. That energy that I'm observing in this person that has affluence, that has financial stability, security, and above. Like I was so enamored of that, even as a small child. And so I really began to kind of search for as a young adult, like how do you get to a place in life where you have that level of financial stability or affluence and influence, because I saw them have that. And that led me down a path, eventually landing in metaphysics, and the very first concepts that I unpacked as a metaphysical student were wealth concepts. And I got the opportunity to learn from some amazing people who teach the spiritual laws of prosperity and wealth, and I got to have direct mentorship with them and be in their frequency and their vibration, which was really powerful. And at that point, I was like, okay, there's a magic to this that's more than physical. That's more than like a piece of paper, a dollar bill. There's something else. There's a frequency behind this. That's when that really started to land for me. And then I started to realize, as I looked around, that I could see people, I could recognize people in my life, but also in the world around me who were very rich in the material sense, had a lot of money, had a lot of financial security, had a lot of financial access, but didn't have wealth, didn't have what I experienced in my young mind as the concept of wealth. And I said, how interesting, okay? Most people, and I want you right now watching, if you're watching live or watching the replay, I want you to write in the comments, like, when you hear the word wealth, what do you associate with that? Because if you're anything like me, my thought about that years and years and years ago was money, like financial stability, security, and beyond. Someone who had a lot of financial security, someone who had generations worth of financial security. Okay? Hey, what's up? Thanks for hopping on. So that's what I thought. That was my concept of wealth. When I was first introduced to it, I was like, oh, that's definitely what that means. That's what that word means. And then as I started doing a lot of spiritual study and a lot of really unpacking of my own shadow work around poverty consciousness and lack consciousness, I started realizing, no, that's not what that is. There's something more here. Hey, Ashley. There's something more here that is not what I'm immediately being shown. And that's when I started really digging. So what I'm going to define as wealth, okay, is a monad. Hi, my husband's watching. Hi, babe. Is a monad that was given to me. And if you're on Instagram, you can hardly see this board, but I'm going to try. As the 3 essential components to wealth. In other words, an individual can have 1 or 2 of these and experience a sense of good feeling to a degree. But when an individual has all 3 of these, then they are truly experiencing this concept of wealth, okay, as I'm going to define it. So this is what we're working with, all right? And so why do I think wealth as an aim for humanity is so important? Wealth is an expression of our sovereignty. Okay, wealth is a natural expression of being a free and sovereign human being. And you're going to understand why in a second when I start filling in these boxes. Our social economics reality has been constructed by large. I mean, I can't really find an exception to that when it comes to like middle, lower class social economic statuses. Oh, perfect. Good day for you to be on here, Ashley. Ashley just said that she had to talk herself out of poverty consciousness today, which, by the way, happens all the time. Even someone like myself that does this work, there are still moments that come up for me because of my programming in my past where I have those conversations. So this is not just like a one and done. You don't just have this conversation with yourself and then it goes away, but you get a lot faster about really organizing this in your consciousness and in your frequency. And so hopefully this will help you understand and look at where in your life this is playing out specifically. So draw this out while I'm talking, these boxes and this word. So we have been organized in such a way that we are deprived, really, of these 3 things only enough to keep us subdued. Okay? We're not totally deprived of these 3 things, as you'll see in a second, but we're kept just below where we really need to be to experience a holistic sense of wealth. Just below. And trying to break out of those limitations becomes incredibly hard because of what I'm about to talk about in a second. Okay? So the reason I think it's so important to talk about this, it's because the pursuit of this will give anyone access that they currently don't have. The pursuit of this changes your experience of reality totally, so you can start making decisions that you want to make and not decisions that you feel like you have to make. Okay? This is when you go from being a slave, essentially, to a system, to an upbringing, to a thought process, to a reality, to being an active creator, okay? To being sovereign. And that is really the goal. The goal is to get us out of this slave mentality and this slave to either an establishment, a system, or mentality and upbringing, and into sovereignty. When we make that switch, everything in your life changes. Okay, so that's the whole idea behind teaching this concept. Okay. Hi, Sai. So you probably can't see my board, but I'm going to do my best. Okay. All right. So the first of the three that we're going to talk about to have what I truly experience as wealth. I'm going to turn this a little bit more. Maybe get you over here, Sai. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move you over here. Hey guys, as you're hopping on, say hello. I just want to reposition our Instagram fam so that they can see this board, because right now they are not going to see this board. All right. So the first of the three that we're going to talk about is time. Okay. Time. This is such an important concept when it comes to being sovereign and experiencing wealth, truly. Because what happens in the way that most of us are taught to work and earn money right now? You are working 40 hours a week at minimum, okay? So the majority of people are not just working 40 hours a week. Majority of people are now working above 40 hours a week, okay, to provide for their families. 40 hours a week is like an old protocol. Hey, Anna, it's an old programming, okay? It doesn't even apply to now anymore. Now you have to work above the 40-hour work week, or else you can't even earn, okay, enough money to provide for yourself, let alone a family, if you have a family, okay? So what the establishment does is it makes you work 8 hours at minimum, and back to back, no breaks, okay? Hi, Jennifer, which is exhausting. Okay, it's exhausting physically and it's exhausting mentally, because we already knowing all the science we know about the brain and how the brain works, we cannot operate on full blast for that long. We're just not there. We're not mentally there for that length of time, okay? So inevitably, we are going to crash energetically, and then our work is going to suffer. We also know that most of our jobs do not require 8 hours. We've learned that during this pandemic, haven't we? We've learned that most of our jobs can be done in 3, not 8. Is that correct? Throw me with some hearts. Throw me with some amens if you feel me, okay? So all of a sudden, we're starting to ask ourselves, why are we here 8 hours? Why are we doing this job for 8 hours? Well, we don't need that much time to do this job, for one, and we're not operating optimally in that window of time. But the idea of keeping you someplace for that long is just to keep you occupied and tired. Literally. That's it. It's to keep you occupied and tired. That's it. That's literally it. Oh, all right, here we go. I'm 50 with a degree from University of New Mexico, and I've never heard of these truths. Well, you're about to learn some serious metaphysical concepts that are going to blow your mind. Again, this was no commute time either. That's right. Thank you, brother. This was a monad that was given to me, and this is what I have learned over time, compressed into one concept, a moving concept, okay? So this was given to me. You can thank the Galactic Council for saying, hey, show up and teach this, okay? This is going to help a lot of you guys. So they keep you tired, and they keep you with not enough free time to really do the things that you want to do. That's the whole idea. Okay, so you can't feed your spirit and you can't take care of yourself in a creative fashion. So what does having time, what does owning your time look like? Okay, what does it mean? Okay, it means recreation. Okay, it means being able to do things recreationally that are good for your spirit. We all know when we go for a hike, when we go out for a walk, when we travel, when we do things of that nature, it does something to our minds. It helps our brains in a significant way. It increases our performance even. It opens our creative passageways, okay? Recreation is extremely important to being connected to our spirit and our creativity centers, okay? When you don't have time for recreation and you don't have time for things that are just doing for fun, like hobbies, etc., you are essentially compressing a person's ability to really be a creative and be connected and relaxed in their being, okay? You win a court case today? Amen. Amen. All right. Recreation. That's one of the first things it does. What else does time give you? It gives you time to volunteer. So it gives you time to give back. passion projects, okay? When you're working over 40, 50 hours a week, do you really have the time to do that? Some people find the time, but if you have a family, wife, kids, partner, whatever, it becomes increasingly harder to be able to give back, really give back, because you don't have enough time. There's just not more hours in a day to do the things that you want to do, okay? So it makes giving back a lot harder of your physical time and your energy, okay? So what else does it do? Family. That's a huge one. How many people might be, maybe they have money, financial security, which we're going to get into in a second, but they don't have any time for their family. Their family is like a lost concept. You don't have any time. You go to your kids' games, to hang out with your spouse. Like, it's constantly just a go, 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 and you're passing ships in the night. Like, that is a huge one for time. Okay? Experiences, travel, which could also be recreational. What else? What else could you do with time? I'd love to hear what you guys would do with your time. What else would you do with your time? Create, art, crafts, whatever you want to make. Make stuff, read stuff, learn stuff. If you had more time, would you educate yourself more? Would you actually spend more time educating yourself and giving more to yourself? How about going on more retreats and helping yourself more spiritually, feeding yourself more spiritually, taking time literally away and going somewhere and just being with your spirit? So time becomes an incredibly important asset in our lives for us to really connect with who we are and be creative beings and explore, right? And play in this bodysuit that we've been given and experience ourselves in the world around us. And time also allows us to decompress, okay? So one of the biggest tricks of the establishment is that you have no time to decompress. It's like you go, you work, you come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, da-da-da, da-da-da. That's your whole life, okay? Your nervous system has zero time to participate in these things and decompress. And then as a result, you are so wound up, you can't let your immune system function. Because again, feeling compressed for time, feeling pressed for time, feeling rushed, okay? Feeling like I don't have time, which a lot of people live in that. And I was living in that when I was in Atlanta, which I'm going to talk about in a second. That keeps your nervous system on high. This is like the simplest terms of this. When your nervous system is on high, your immune system shuts off because that's a natural response to being overstimulated. Your immune system shuts off, and now you start getting every bug in the world, start getting sick. Yeah, that's how that works. All right? When you have time to unwind, decompress, relax, seriously relax. Hey, Patty. Okay? That is when your immune system turns on. Okay? Parasympathetic nervous system. That's when it activates. That's why massages are so relaxing. I was a massage therapist for 8 years. I worked in chronic pain and injury. I saw the magic of hand therapy directly because my clients would come in wound, and by the end of the therapy, they were just a different person. Okay? When you allow yourself, when you go to sleep, when you get a massage, when you meditate, okay, your parasympathetic nervous system gets turned on and you're naturally able to unwind. Time, feeling like you have ample time, allows you the same experience. When you don't have this, you end up rushed, pressed for time constantly, overworked, feeling like you're always behind, which really actually also crimps your self-esteem and your confidence. Yeah. I do not have a master's in therapy. I could have one by now from everything that I've studied, okay? Yeah, see, Colby was like, when I was working half days in March, I was so rested. Of course you were, because we are naturally equipped to only focus for a certain period of time. And then we need a rest. We need a break. That is completely normal. So my life in Atlanta, when I had my massage therapy practice, private practice, I was also running my online fitness business at the same time. I was the sole provider for my small child. So I was the one driving him 40 minutes to his school. Then another 15 out to my office, another 15 back to his school after a 6, 7, 8 hour day, whatever I was doing in the practice. then picking up, then driving 40 minutes to an hour back home every day, my life felt so tight. I was earning great income between both businesses. Everything was going great, but I felt tight on time. I never felt like I had the time to unwind. So automatically I felt less wealthy automatically, because in my mind, I associate wealth with being able to relax. I associate wealth with having ample time. I associate wealth with pace, taking things at my pace. I didn't have that. I was slammed 24/7. Okay? Now, the next one is the obvious one, okay? Which is money. Okay? The second component of wealth is money. All right? This is important for loads of reasons, okay? Number one, because if your basic needs are not met, you live in an incredible amount of stress. That's like out of the gate. You're automatically behind. Moving into self-actualization becomes literally impossible because you are just trying to have your basic needs met for you and your family, okay? So this is important. Now, what the establishment does here is they pay you minimally. They pay you barely enough to live, okay? So they give you way too much time. They take up a huge chunk of your time. And for that huge chunk of your time, you're given almost no money, okay? So now you're committing yourself to an exceptional amount of time for minimal pay, okay? Which is very stressful. And what does that create? It creates the feeling of I'm never getting ahead. I am never going to get ahead. I'm always going to be behind. Again, always behind, always behind. The same thing that happened with time starts to happen with money, okay? So for true experience of wealth, there's a couple components of income. You want to have active income, yes, which is income that you are doing something in exchange for money. So if you work an hourly job, you have active income. If you were like me and you did massage, it was service per income. If you're salaried, that's still time for money because it's okay, you're here for this many days out of the week and you earn this much money. Okay, so active earning income. Now, the trick to really feeling wealthy with active earning income is that the way that you're earning it feels fulfilling and satisfying. Okay? It's not just about earning any active. That won't give you this feeling of wealth. It has to feel fulfilling and satisfying while you're earning it. Okay? If it does not feel fulfilling and satisfying while you're earning this, you won't feel wealthy. I mean, you'll have your bills paid and you'll feel like your needs are met, but it won't generate this experience. Okay? So active income, yes, but has to feel fulfilling, has to feel satisfying in order for you to feel activated here. Okay? That's the catch for that. Then there's also passive and residual income. Okay? And this really is how people get financially wealthy in the terms of finances. Okay? Because this means they have income coming in that is not dependent on the amount of time or the amount of hours or the amount of exchanges they do. Okay? So examples of passive residual income, you have subscriptions. Okay? So if you're a coach and you have a subscription program as a coach, like one-on-one coaching type of stuff, passive and residual income. If you're like me and you also own a network marketing business, that creates passive and residual income. If you have real estate and your real estate is they're paying you rent, passive and residual income, things of that nature. Sure, you can ask a question. I may not have the answer to it, or I may not want to answer it, but you can ask on YouTube. So, okay, so you have active, passive and residual income. And what else does money do? It gives you access, okay? This is very, very important, all right? This, really listen to this. When you have this component on lock and you're earning in a way that feels active and fulfilling, satisfying, got passive and residual income, it gives you access to choices other people don't have. And this is something else the system does very well. Okay, the system says if it's subsidizing your income, like giving you money, like in some countries, like communist countries, they just have a staple income, like a universal income they give people, or welfare or whatever. It's like, yeah, we'll give you that, we'll help you in that way, but you only have access to this kind of healthcare. You only have access to this kind of this. You only have access to this kind of that. So they limit your access and give you this money with strings, basically. That's how that works. Okay, but when you are independently earning income, you get to choose what doctor you want to see. Okay, you get to choose if you want to have private security. You get to choose where you want to put your kids in school. Okay, you get to choose all that kind of stuff. So it gives you access that you wouldn't have otherwise. Okay, that's the gift of having this one on lock. Gives you access. So you can start to choose your life according to what you want and not according to what you think you can have, which is really, really big, okay? Most of us are living here. Just this is what I think I can have. This is what I think I can afford. This is what I think I can. So what would your life be if you could choose it 100% of the time and it wasn't just about what you think you can have, okay? Pillar number 2, I want you to write these down as I'm going through them, because this is an active exercise. You guys are going to be circling and highlighting things in a second, okay? Money. Now, the third one is where, and I'm going to, again, give the example. As a massage therapist in the job that I was doing for 8 years, especially this last year where I had my private practice, I worked for myself, okay? Didn't have a lot of time. I was constantly pressed for time. I was earning money, okay? This was happening, okay? This was definitely happening in my world at that time. So Demetria says money also lets you avoid losing more money, like overdraft fees. Exactly. Another example, if your car gets towed, you don't have to skip a day of work to get your car out. Exactly. So it gives you the ability to not lose more money. It gives you the ability to not live on credit. It gives you the ability to not be indebted, okay? So it gives you access, and you don't have to be living on borrowed money or borrowed time, okay? You don't have to deal with interest fees or anything like that. Like, you have the money to pay outright for the things that you want. So yes, you don't lose more money, and it gets you out of debt. You're not living a physically indebted life. Here you're indebted with time, and here you're indebted financially. So let's write that here. Not indebted, because that's really important. Okay, thank you. So again, my practice, I had no time. I was making income. However, this bracket is where I started to really suffer. And this one is why I never experienced this with that practice and with the work that I was doing then, and why I experience it now with having the online coaching fitness business. Because the third one is health. Okay? And these are all the categories that I define as health. It's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and relational. Okay? In order for you to have a complete experience of wealth, okay, you also have to experience vibrant health. Truly. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and relationally, meaning socially, with the people in your life, the people that you are either in your family, your friends, your peers. Like in my sense, I have an organization that I mentor on business stuff, on growing their online fitness business as part of my network marketing business. And then I also have my clients who I'm helping on their health and fitness journey. Okay, so I am relating to them as well. And so my business uniquely positioned me to meet all of these because it did give me back my time. I work when I want to work. That's now the beauty of having that kind of a model. I earn as much as I want to earn. There's no cap on that. That's the beauty of that kind of a model. And passive and residual income become possible as a result of that model. And then, of course, my business happens to be fitness. So like physical health is like embedded in the business. But regardless, it allows me to have more of that relational health at my pace. Now, what was happening with my massage practice is because of how much of my time I was giving and physical energy I was exerting, my health started to decline. And because I also did a lot of energy work, that became very draining for me personally. Loads of people can do it for long periods of time with zero side effect. That wasn't the case for me. I suffered immensely from that. It took a massive toll on me and my body started to shut down and I started to feel it. At which point I realized I was never going to get to here from here because this was being compromised. Okay. So the activation of these three things leads to what I'm calling realized wealth. That's really the monad that was given to me, realized wealth. When these three things appear in your life, this is when you start to feel that sense of realized wealth. Now, again, you can have two, you can have time and you can have health, but no money, and you will feel a kink in that chain. You can have money and health, but no time, you will feel a kink in that chain. You can have time, money, and ill health, and now you're going to find yourself unable to enjoy any of it because you're now trying to catch up on this and the stress that brings into your life. Are you guys understanding the significance of these three components of wealth? Like, this is what wealth actually means. It doesn't just mean this, which is what people think it means. Okay? People think it means this. And so they lose this to get this and end up with no this, which keeps them sick. Okay? You end up giving your health to get money. You end up like overcommitting to get money. And then you end up with lacking this because too much time, too much stress, it leads to poor health. And then you end up with this and you don't have your health. So what good is that? What are you going to do with that money? Take care of your medical bills. That's what you're going to do because that's where it's going to lead you. Okay? So what I want you to do in the active part of this is everything that I've written down and that I've talked about, I really want you to go into your life and ask yourself, okay, which parts of these things that were delineated underneath these major categories, which ones am I doing really well with and which ones need work? Okay, so find like 2 different color pens or 2 different color highlighters and make a legend for yourself. And the ones where you feel like you are nailing it, I want you to highlight recreation, nailing it, volunteering, nailing it, but I'm not really spending that much time with my family. And I'm not getting to create and have fun with my hobbies, okay? Or with money, it's like active, fulfilling job. Got that. I have no passive income. I don't know what that is. I don't even know how to start, okay? Or I'm not really in debt, but I also can't make choices that I want to make because I'm not earning enough income, okay? And with health, it's like, yeah, okay, my physical health is like on lock. And like emotionally I feel good, but also like so relationally, like my relationships are struggling. I don't really feel very vibrant in my relationships. All right. So take a moment to really take a look at where you feel like you're excelling and where you feel like you're needing work. Okay. This is going to be your map to how close you get to right here. Okay. And again, you're not going to learn this in school, and no one who's teaching finance is going to teach you this, although this is a really important cornerstone to working on your financial health. Yes, having a financial advisor is awesome, but if you don't understand what wealth actually is and how to get there, looking at your current life, you'll miss the mark with that, okay? Any questions on this so far? I don't see any questions. I'm going to choose to assume that means you're intently listening to what I'm sharing. Please ask away before I share like an activity. This is an activity that I give to my coaches, my organization, and I also give to anybody who wants to just do one-on-one business coaching. And years and years and years ago when I had an office and I was doing coaching as well, when I was doing more one-on-one, I got a lot of entrepreneurs, which was really interesting really early on in my coaching career. A lot of young entrepreneurs would end up in my office needing support. And so this also drove my interest in this concept and helping them find that in their business model and whatever they were doing. And so another exercise I want you guys to do is I want you to write down the word wealth. Here's this monad, right, that I've made, but I really want you to write down the word wealth. And I want you to just take a second to close your eyes and feel in your body what that sensation is, okay? So when you close your eyes and you think of the word wealth, what physical experience happens in your body, okay? So what does that feel like? Like if I was fully wealthy in all these ways, like if my monad was complete and I was really living it, what would be the physical sensation in my body? Okay. And I just want you to take a second to like really register what that feeling would be. And you feel free to share it in the comments if you want to drop it and share it with us. Because for me, the very first thing that came up when I did this exercise was feeling relaxed. I imagined that being fully dynamically wealthy was actually very relaxing. It meant having time to chill. It meant kicking back more. And when I had that realization, I was like, my life doesn't look like that at all. I realized that my life looked very opposite of what I thought my life as a wealthy human being would be. And that's problematic because that means we're going in opposite directions. My desire is going in this direction, but my reality is going in this direction. And that's going to create cancellation. It's going to create negation of energy, which when you're trying to manifest, it's really important that your desire and your intention is going in the same direction. Otherwise, you're going to negate a manifestation every time. Okay. So that prompted me to begin to change my physical reality so I had more of this in it. And it also prompted me to pay more attention to the moments in my reality when I felt relaxed. Because when I was feeling relaxed, I was like, oh, I am activated. I am in the frequency of what wealth means to me. Okay. So, okay, now I'm in it. So I learned how to really harvest the energy of those experiences to feel more of that feeling. Okay. So what is that feeling for you? Where in your life do you actively feel that feeling? Or do you not have any experiences where you currently feel that feeling? And that's the work where it needs to begin. Because remember too, physical manifestations, like a physical manifestation of health, money, time, whatever, it begins in the energy component first. It begins in the intangible, in the frequency of things. Okay, so when you're embodying a frequency, when you're embodying a consciousness of some sort, this is when you start to bring into alignment all modalities to bring you a certain reality. Okay, so if you want to sell a house, if you want to get a job, if you want your business to take off, you want whatever, before the physical experience happens, you have to adopt the embodiment of a frequency to get you in that place where those events can line up for you. Because again, your desire has to match your frequency. You guys have to be in the same place in order for things to actually show up. Okay? This is like Law of Attraction 101, but these are little things that people don't think of LOA. They think like, oh, you just think something and then it happens. No, that's not how that works. You have to embody a frequency. You have to bring it into your body, feel it in your body, and then it becomes a reality, okay? The circumstances align for you to have that reality. So what is the feeling for you? And how can you create more of that right now? Okay. And if you've learned from doing this exercise that you have a lot of gaps in your current reality that are not going to lead you here anytime soon, then how can you start changing that right now? And take some time after this to journal out, okay, what does my life look like when I have the time that I want, and what do I want to do with my time? When I have the money that I want, and what kind of money is that? When I have the health that I want, and what does that look like? Okay. What is my life when these things are fully fulfilled? And then I get to have this. All right. And if you really want to challenge yourself to something, write that out for 21 days in a row. Every day. Every morning when you wake up, just write out. Boom, 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 boom. What your life is like with time, money, health. What your life is like in a holistic space of wealth. And after 21 days, write me and let me know if you haven't experienced some change in your life. I would be very surprised if you haven't. Because intention is there and the energy flows right through it. Right through it. So this was what led me on my path 4 years ago when I had my son. And I was like, okay, the way that I do this has to change. And this has to change because I now have a small child. Okay. And I also had a lot of postpartum depression and anxiety. So I knew that I was not going to be able to be for long periods of time away from him without experiencing a decline here. Okay. So what drove me into my current profession was understanding the need for those things and to make this possible while at the same time honoring these two things. Okay. And this, if this is your goal, this is your map. All right. So hopefully this was really inspiring and really illuminating for you and gave you a whole new way to look and think of this concept. If you have any questions about it, I'm happy to talk about it. If you are a patron, then I'm gonna, after this video, I'll do a Q&A answer for you guys in the comments section of Patreon. Yeah, if you have any questions at all, always happy to talk about it. Wishing you much sovereignty and wellness on your journey. May you remember who you are and whose you are, and keep leading that sovereign life. All right, my friends, till we meet again.